Ever wonder why so many producers spend years making music but never feel ready to share it or get it up on stage? That was Chris until he found a breakthrough system that helped him finish tracks fast, find his sound, and finally play gigs with just his own music. So I'm going to show you step by step exactly how Chris made that shift in just 5 months so you can do it too. In the next 10 minutes, I will show you how Chris went from taking months to finish a single track to playing shows with original music only. Using my industry breakthrough portfolio method, the same system that helped hundreds of producers finish more tracks, play live shows, and a few land label deals. Today you will learn where Chris was stuck and why, what we changed first that made everything click, and the exact results he achieved in just 5 months. Let me play you one of the tracks Chris is now playing at his shows. So let's start with where Chris was before we started working together and the frustrating pattern that was keeping him stuck. When Chris came to me, he had a repeating challenge that a lot of producers face, so I'll let him explain it.
I had sort of repeating challenges, which was, people talk about getting stuck in the loop quite often. In order to create impact and tell a story, I just kept adding more and more elements to my ears, which I could trick myself that it would sound good because I would kind of go, blind in a sense to the busyness that I was creating, because I would stop seeing, or I would stop being able to hear it as the first time listener's perspective.
This is what happens to most producers. You start with a good idea, but because you can't hear it with fresh ears anymore, you keep adding layers, thinking more will make it better. But it doesn't. It just makes it muddy.
What that started to look like for me, which was taking breaks, for weeks at a time from a project. And it taking me like 3 months sometimes to finish a track.
Oh,
so that, and that, to be quite honest, and then at that time, you're just not excited about the track anymore,
3 months per track. And by the time you finish, you don't even want to release it. Sounds familiar, right? If you're like most producers, your hard drive is full of unfinished projects and 0 releases. It's not just frustrating, it's the number one reason why so many people quit.
When you're swimming in all the information through YouTube and Instagram and just everything, and I think from a beginner too, it's easy to maybe be hopeful that there's like a solution for balancing the kick and the bass that's like scientific in the sense that they should always be this many dB separate or exactly right here, and hoping to discover some kind of formula rather than just realizing that at the end of the day, it's kind of all chaos and you just have to do what sounds good.
Look, every track is different, and what works is developing your ears. So there's no real magic shortcuts to this. So how did we fix that? It started with one simple shift.
I think that was a big thing, was learning to develop my ear, and I was really surprised how quickly that happened with you. You would suggest ideas, and in general, I think a big theme was have less ingredients in our soup and make sure that each of those ingredients is really doing what it's supposed to, rather than taking, these sort of like half established sounds or noises and continuously adding more. Really focus, choose the points that I really want to focus on and emphasize, and, leave the rest.
That's the shift. Less ingredients, better ingredients. Each one doing its job. And here's what surprised Chris about how fast this worked. Most producers never even realize what's missing, so they keep buying more plugins, more presets, watching more videos, and hoping for magic. But the real breakthrough is not about doing more, it's about clarity. So let me show you the exact system we used. So how did Chris go from taking months per track to finishing professional music fast? It comes down to the system I teach all my clients, the industry breakthrough portfolio method. So let me show you how it works. We started with signature sound development. Instead of using random presets or copying other producers, we identified what makes Chris's taste unique. We analyzed reference tracks he loved, rebuilt key sounds from scratch, and designed a sound palette that actually felt like him.
He really taught me just to try new sounds and get a bunch of things to experiment with, get your MIDI notes and then just cycle through stuff and see what fits. And I found a lot of happy accidents or even grooves that have changed and developed because of how, the attack on one sound is versus a different one.
Once we nailed his sound, Chris stopped guessing. He knew exactly what to use in every single track. Once his sound was clear, we moved into portfolio production, the framework for finishing high-quality tracks fast, and the foundation of every great track, the low end.
So you really need to just start with the kick and the bass. Dial in your foundation. And once your low end is established, like, you can kind of do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
And that was really good. And it made it just feel more playful too, just having the confidence that the low end is proper. The low end is something I'm really like stoked on my tracks about, but that was always the part that I had a lack of confidence in.
This is the turning point for most producers. Once you understand and learn how to make a pro kick and bass, the rest of the track falls into place. Everyone struggles with low end, and even for myself, it took me years to finally understand how to make the low end sound professional. And for Chris, with the right system, it took weeks, not years. The final phase is industry positioning, taking finished tracks and turning them into real opportunities, releases, DJ support, and playing shows. And Chris is already living that.
I mean, it's cool. The last handful of gigs I've played entirely original music, which just feels cool, to be on a lineup knowing that that song is not going to be repeated through multiple DJs, because it's unreal. It's pretty cool to be on stage and just playing stuff that I've worked so hard on, and then to be able to watch a crowd react to that it still doesn't feel real.
That's how you go from unfinished ideas to the tracks you're proud to share and actually play it live. So what did Chris actually achieve after just 5 months of working together?
In that 5 months, I think I've made, if I was to stay on my previous path, I think it would take me years to get to this point. Yeah, I thought my tracks were decent before, but it's funny, like, how hindsight's 2020 and like what I was getting ready to release at one point, I don't even want to release anymore.
5 months of focused work can equal to years of trial and error. And this is what happens when you stop guessing and follow a proven system. Chris is not just making music anymore, he is performing, he's building a real career. Less ingredients, better ingredients. Stop adding more layers hoping it will sound better. Instead, choose fewer sounds and make each one do its job perfectly. Quality over quantity. Start with the foundation. Every pro track starts with a kick and bass. Dial that in first. Once your low end is solid, everything else falls into place. Don't build a house on a weak foundation. Get feedback early. You can't improve what you can't hear. Find someone more experienced who can point out what's holding you back. Feedback saves you years of trial and error. The difference between spending years stuck and making a real progress is not talent or grinding harder. It's having a clear system and someone experienced to guide you through it. Chris went from taking months to finish a track to playing full sets of original music in just 5 months. That's the power of the industry breakthrough portfolio method. If you want to work with me directly so I can help you find your signature sound, produce tracks that get you signed, and build a real career in music, check the link in the description. I have a limited amount of spots for one-on-one coaching, so just click the link, book a call, and let's have a chat.